I'm Alan Murray. I'm here with Michael Lewis, author of a new book, Boomerang, Travels in the New Third World, probably better known as author of Moneyball these days. But let's talk about your new book first, if
Sure.
that's okay. The New Third World. I mean, I started reading this book. I wasn't quite sure what you were referring to, and at some point I realized, wait, you're talking about us.
I am talking about us.
You're talking about the U.S., you're talking about Europe. Tell us what you mean.
We have problems that previously were associated with third world countries. Problems that the likelihood that rich developed countries are not going to be able to repay their debts. That radical cuts in public services, so you'll have cities and towns, even in America, where you don't have proper police and fire services.
But
I would add to this an affraying of a kind of the sense of common purpose, a sort of a problem in the with actually the democracy.
I want to talk about that, but before we do, I mean, are you really saying the United States is a third world country? That California is a third world country?
On our way. I think we're going to get there. No, we're affluent. We have the huge advantage of being really rich. But the book takes you to more than just California.
Well, you look at Iceland.
Well, let me give you an
Greece.
example, actually. Greece.
Yeah.
Greece. So the IMF was very helpful to me while I was working on this. And I was talking to IMF inspectors who had gone in right after the new Greek government was elected 18 months ago, 2 years ago. And it says, oh, we have more debt than we knew, kind of thing. And they went in to sort of see what was going on. And as one of the IMF inspectors said, this is just pretending to be a first world country. It's a third world country. They don't know who they owe what.
But so I get that with Greece.
Yeah.
Iceland, which built up this banking system that completely collapsed. Ireland, but those are very small countries.
Mm.
Are you talking about what happened in those small countries, or are you painting with a broader brush over all of Europe and the United States?
Well, the conceit for the whole story is an observation by a hedge fund manager in Dallas named Kyle Bass, who presented me with some analysis when I was working on my last book, The Big Short. The analysis kind of ran as follows, that the response to the financial crisis was for governments everywhere to basically say they're going to bail out their banks, to backstop their banks. So the debts of the big banks in these various countries are in fact also government debts. And when you layer on top of the existing government debt the debts and potential losses in the banking system, there are lots of countries that may not be able to afford these debts or be willing to pay off these debts. And it isn't just Greece and Ireland and Iceland.
Yeah.
It's Italy, Spain, and France. And that's not true of the United States, but it is true of those large economies in Europe.
Why did it happen? You had this decade of massive overborrowing by the private sector.
Yes.
After the financial crisis, all those debts got transferred to the public sector, either officially or, as you point out, unofficially. Why did we do it?
Why did the debts? Because we could. This is a very good question, but at the bottom of all the stories is this massive act of tempting ourselves. The banking system is becoming numb to risk. And in fact, Wall Street, I think, got very, very good at doing the opposite of what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to expose risk and value risk properly.
It hid risk.
It hid risk. It hid risk in the U.S. subprime market, and it hid risk in Greece and in Ireland and so on and so forth. And they in really extreme ways. So Goldman Sachs helping Greece rig its books so it looks like it's less indebted than it is. Merrill Lynch suppressing negative brokerage reports about Irish banks.
Yeah, but see, that's where, as I was reading the book, I realized you were getting to something more fundamental than just the hiding of risk. It's almost a moral breakdown.
I agree.
I mean, debt is a fundamental choice between doing things for the present and taking care of the future generations, etc. And for some reason in Europe and the United States, there seems to have been a profound breakdown in the way that choice was made. That is, in some ways,